The verdict of Fear Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the center of a massive chamber, her black uniform crisp despite the long journey to reach this place. Around her, representatives from 47 different worlds sat in towering seats that rose toward a ceiling lost in shadows. The air hummed with translation devices, turning alien languages into words she could understand. But understanding the words did not make this moment any easier. The chamber belonged to the Galactic Confederation, the governing body that had ruled known space for over 3,000 years. Elena had visited this place many times as Earth's chief diplomatic officer, but never under circumstances like these. Today, humanity itself was on trial. Supreme Chancellor Thyrock descended from his elevated platform, his crystalline body catching the strange blue light that filled the chamber. The Zelfari were an ancient race, and Thyrock had led the Confederation for longer than human civilization had existed. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of millennia. Captain Vasquez, Thyrock began, his translated words echoing through the vast space. You stand here not just as an individual, but as the voice of your entire species. The charges brought against humanity are unprecedented in Confederation history. Elena kept her expression neutral, though her heart pounded against her ribs. Behind her, she could sense the presence of Dr. Marcus Chun and Admiral David Torres, the other members of humanity's delegation. They had known this day might come, but hoping for something and being prepared for it were different things entirely. The charges, Thyrock continued, are as follows. Humanity has expanded too rapidly across the galaxy. Your species has colonized 43 worlds in less than 2 centuries. Most species require 10 times longer to achieve such expansion. A creature that resembled a massive spider clicked its approval from one of the upper seats. The Kithara had been among humanity's harshest critics, claiming that human settlements disrupted their ancient meditation networks. Second, Thyrock's voice grew colder. Humanity has advanced technologically at an alarming rate. Your weapons, your ships, your manufacturing capabilities have increased exponentially. This rapid development threatens the balance that has kept peace in our galaxy. Elena wanted to laugh at the irony. They were being punished for being good at survival, for learning quickly, for adapting to challenges. These were the very traits that had allowed humanity to spread from a single world to dozens of thriving colonies. Third, and most concerning, humanity shows no signs of slowing this expansion or advancement. Projections indicate that within 5 centuries, human technology could surpass that of any current Confederation member. This represents an existential threat to galactic stability. The accusation hung in the air like a sword. Elena had heard these fears whispered in diplomatic circles for years, but hearing them spoken aloud in this formal setting made them feel more real and more dangerous. The evidence is clear, said Counselor Vexhai, a reptilian creature whose species controlled 7 star systems. Human settlements appear faster than we can monitor them. Human ships travel routes that should be impossible. Human scientists make discoveries that our own researchers say violate known physics. Dr. Chin shifted slightly behind Elena. As Earth's leading theoretical physicist, he had indeed made breakthrough discoveries that challenged conventional understanding. His work on quantum field manipulation had revolutionized human technology, but it had also made other species nervous. Furthermore, Vexhai continued, human military capabilities have grown beyond what any single species should possess. Admiral Torres, your fleets now number in the thousands. Your soldiers use weapons that can penetrate any known defense. Admiral Torres remained silent, but Elena knew he was cataloging every word. David Torres had spent 30 years building humanity's defense forces, and he had done his job perhaps too well. Human military technology had advanced so rapidly that even their allies had begun to worry. The Confederation has deliberated for 6 months, Thyrock announced. We have consulted with historians, scientists, and military experts from across known space. The conclusion is unanimous among the member species. Elena's stomach dropped. She had hoped that at least some species would speak in humanity's defense, but the word unanimous left no room for doubt. Humanity represents a clear and present danger to galactic order, Thyrock declared. Your species' rapid advancement, combined with your aggressive expansion, creates an unacceptable risk. Therefore, the Confederation hereby sentences humanity to immediate exile. The word exile hit Elena like a physical blow. Around the chamber, alien voices rose in approval. Clicks, whistles, and harmonic tones blended into a chorus of satisfaction. They were celebrating humanity's downfall. All human colonies will be abandoned, Thyrock continued. All human vessels will be surrendered to Confederation custody. The human population will be relocated to the Kepler 438 system, where you will remain under permanent supervision. Elena knew about Kepler 438. It was a dead system on the galaxy's outer rim containing 3 barren worlds and no resources worth mining. It was the perfect prison, isolated and inhospitable. The message was clear: they were being sent somewhere to slowly die out. You have 30 standard days to comply with this order, Thyrock said. Any human found outside the Kepler 438 system after that deadline will be considered a fugitive and dealt with accordingly. The threat was obvious. Confederation ships would hunt down and eliminate any humans who tried to escape their exile. They were not just being imprisoned, they were being condemned. Captain Vasquez, Thyrock said, the Confederation recognizes your species' right to respond to this verdict. You may speak. Elena stepped forward, her mind racing. She had prepared for this moment. But the reality of it still felt surreal. Humanity's greatest achievement had been joining the galactic community, and now that same community was casting them out. Supreme Chancellor, Elena said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems, humanity accepts the Confederation's decision. A ripple of surprise went through the assembled aliens. They had expected arguments, pleas, or threats. Elena's calm acceptance caught them off guard. We understand your concerns about our rapid advancement, Elena continued. We recognize that our expansion has created uncertainty among other species. If exile is the price of peace, then humanity will pay it. She paused, looking up at the countless alien faces staring down at her. However, I want to make one thing clear to this assembly. You are exiling us because you fear what we might become. But you have no idea what we already are. Thyrock's crystalline features shifted, a sign of confusion among his species. Explain your meaning, Captain. Elena smiled, and for the first time since entering the chamber, she felt truly confident. You see our rapid advancement as a threat. We see it as just the beginning. You worry about what we might accomplish in 5 centuries. We are already working on technologies you cannot imagine. Dr. Chin stepped forward beside her. The quantum field manipulation that concerns you so much, that is elementary research compared to what we have achieved in the last year alone. We have been careful not to reveal our true capabilities, but exile removes any reason for restraint. Admiral Torres joined them, his military bearing unmistakable even among aliens. You fear our expansion because you think it threatens your worlds. But you have never seen what humanity can accomplish when we are truly motivated. Exile will provide exactly that motivation. The chamber fell silent. The aliens had expected broken humans begging for mercy. Instead, they were hearing something that sounded almost like a promise of retribution. You are sending us away because you think it will solve your problem, Elena said. But you are giving us something we have never had before: complete freedom to develop without restraint, without diplomatic concerns, without any need to consider how our advancement affects others. She looked directly at Thyrock. In 30 days, we will leave for Kepler 438 as ordered. We will not resist, we will not argue, we will not cause trouble. But do not mistake our compliance for defeat. You are not getting rid of us. You are setting us free. The translation devices struggled with the complex emotions in Elena's voice, but her meaning was clear enough. The humans were not broken. They were not afraid. If anything, they seemed almost pleased by the verdict. The Confederation's decision stands, Thyrock said, but his voice carried less certainty than before. You have 30 days. Understood, Elena replied. We will need ships to transport our population. Basic transport vessels will be provided, Vexhai said quickly. Nothing more advanced than necessary for the journey. Elena nodded. That will be sufficient. As the session ended and the alien representatives began to file out, Elena remained in the center of the chamber with her colleagues. Around them, the vast space felt less oppressive now that their fate had been decided. Do you think they suspect? Dr. Chen asked quietly. No, Elena replied. They see us as a young species that got lucky with a few discoveries. They have no idea how far we have actually advanced. Admiral Torres checked his communication device. I am already receiving confirmations from our hidden facilities. Project Exodus can begin immediately. Elena looked up at the empty seats where 47 species had just condemned humanity to exile. They thought they were solving a problem, but they had no idea what they had actually done. They wanted to stop our advancement by isolating us, she said. Instead, they have given us the perfect laboratory to accelerate it beyond their worst nightmares. Dr. Chen smiled grimly. Kepler, 438, may be a dead system now, but it will not stay that way for long. How long until we are ready? Elena asked. The preliminary work is already complete, Admiral Torres replied. Once we reach Kepler 438, we can begin full implementation. 24 months at most. Elena nodded. 24 months to complete humanity's greatest project. 24 months to transform exile into evolution. 24 months to show the galaxy what humans could really accomplish when they were properly motivated. Then let us go home, she said. We have preparations to make. As they left the chamber, Elena looked back one last time at the place where humanity had been sentenced to exile. The aliens thought they had seen the last of humans as a major power in the galaxy. They could not have been more wrong. The real work was just beginning, and when it was finished, the Confederation would learn that trying to cage humanity had been the worst mistake in galactic history. But by then, it would already be too late to change course. The exile had been ordered. The countdown had begun, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what true advancement looked like. The hidden revolution 18 months had passed since the Great Exile began, and the barren world of Kepler 438c looked exactly as the Confederation had intended. Scattered across the rocky surface were simple dome structures, hastily built from local materials and powered by basic fusion reactors. Smoke drifted from crude manufacturing facilities, and humans moved slowly between buildings like a defeated people trying to survive on an impossible world. Inspector Zavik of the Threnodai species observed the human settlement from his monitoring station in orbit. His 4 eyes tracked the movement patterns below, while sophisticated sensors recorded every energy signature from the surface. The readings were exactly what he expected from a struggling colony, barely managing to sustain itself. The humans appear to be adapting poorly to their exile, Zavik reported to his superiors on the Confederation capital world. Population centers remain small and primitive. No signs of advanced technology or unusual activity. Their expansion rate has decreased by 96% since relocation. What Zavik could not see was the massive elevator shaft hidden beneath Settlement Alpha, descending 15 kilometers into the planet's crust. The crude dome above was merely a facade, concealing an entrance to humanity's greatest engineering project, a doctor. Marcus Chin stood in the central command center of the underground city, watching holographic displays that showed construction progress across 12 different levels. The caverns carved from solid rock now housed over 2 million humans, all working on projects that would have seemed impossible just 2 years earlier. Quantum fabrication arrays are operating at full capacity, reported engineer Sarah Kim, a compact woman whose steady hands had personally installed much of the facility's most delicate equipment. We are producing metamaterials at a rate that exceeds our most optimistic projections. The materials being created in the deep factories bore no resemblance to anything in Confederation databases. Using principles that Dr. Chun had discovered by analyzing alien technology in ways its creators had never imagined, human scientists had learned to manipulate matter at the quantum level. They could create substances that were simultaneously lighter than air and stronger than any known metal. How long until the fleet construction is complete? Chin asked. Hull fabrication for the first 100 vessels should finish within 6 months, Sarah replied. Engine installation will take another 3 months after that. The ships being built in the deepest levels of the facility were unlike anything that had ever existed. They combined human innovation with reverse-engineered alien technology, enhanced by discoveries that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Each vessel was designed not just to travel between stars, but to dominate any opposition they might encounter. Admiral David Torres walked through the military section of the underground complex, inspecting training facilities where human soldiers practiced with weapons that bent the rules of reality. The quantum field disruptors could disable enemy systems without causing permanent damage, while gravitational manipulation devices allowed small teams to move objects weighing thousands of tons. The Confederation monitors are still reporting normal activity. Torres asked Lieutenant Maya Patel, his chief intelligence officer. Yes, sir, Maya replied, pulling up surveillance footage on her portable display. Our surface operations team maintains the illusion perfectly. As far as orbital sensors can detect, we are barely surviving with primitive technology. Maya had spent years infiltrating alien intelligence networks before the exile, and now she coordinated with sleeper agents across the galaxy. These operatives had gone deep underground when humanity was banished, taking jobs as janitors, technicians, and traders while gathering information about Confederation military capabilities. What are our assets reporting from the core worlds? Torres asked. Confederation military forces have been reduced by 30% since our exile, Maya said. They believe the human threat has been neutralized, so they are reassigning ships to exploration and civilian duties. Fleet readiness is at the lowest level in recorded history. Torres nodded grimly. The aliens had made exactly the mistake that humanity had hoped they would make. By assuming that exile had broken human power, they had left themselves vulnerable to what was coming. In another section of the underground city, Dr. Chin worked with a team of physicists who had pushed the boundaries of quantum mechanics beyond recognition. They had discovered that reality itself could be manipulated if you understood the underlying mathematics well enough. The gravitational resonance tests were successful, reported Dr. Lisa Wong, Chen's most brilliant student. We can now generate localized distortions in spacetime that allow near-instantaneous travel across galactic distances. The implications were staggering. While Confederation ships still required weeks or months to travel between star systems, human vessels would soon be able to appear anywhere in the galaxy within hours. It was the ultimate strategic advantage, allowing humanity to strike multiple targets simultaneously while remaining untouchable themselves. Begin installation of the quantum tunnel generators on the first wave of ships, Chin ordered. I want them ready for field testing within 60 days. The testing would be conducted on Confederation patrol vessels that strayed too close to the Kepler 438 system. These ships would simply vanish without a trace, their crews unharmed, but their vessels completely disabled and hidden in quantum storage facilities beneath the planet's surface. Sarah Kim supervised the construction of manufacturing systems that could produce entire starships in a matter of days. The quantum fabrication arrays assembled materials atom by atom, creating perfect structures with no flaws or weaknesses. Traditional alien shipyards required months to build a single vessel, while human facilities could produce dozens in the same time frame. We need to increase production capacity, Sarah told her engineering teams. The Admiral wants 1,000 ships ready for the first phase of operations. 1,000 ships equipped with technology that made the Confederation's best vessels look like ancient relics, each one capable of disabling entire enemy fleets while remaining completely undetectable until the moment of attack. Lieutenant Maya Patel received coded transmissions from across the galaxy, reports from human agents who had been waiting patiently for 18 months to receive their orders. These operatives had used their time wisely, infiltrating key facilities and gaining access to critical systems. Agent Rodriguez reports successful infiltration of the Confederation Central Command. Maya informed Admiral Torres. He now has administrative access to their entire military communication network. Agent Chun has been promoted to supervisor of the main shipyard at Rigel Station. She continued. She can sabotage production schedules and delay new vessel construction indefinitely. Agent Thompson has married into a prominent Zelthree family and gained access to their governmental databases. He can monitor Confederation policy decisions in real time. The network of human sleeper agents had grown like a virus through Confederation society, undetected and perfectly positioned. When the time came to act, they would be able to cripple alien civilization from within while human forces struck from without. Dr. Chun made another breakthrough that changed everything they thought they knew about technology. By studying the quantum signatures of different alien technologies, he discovered that all Confederation equipment shared certain fundamental characteristics. These shared traits created a vulnerability that humanity could exploit. Every alien device in the galaxy operates on the same basic quantum frequencies, Chen explained to the assembled leadership. If we can generate the right interference patterns, we can take control of their technology remotely. Admiral Torres understood the implications immediately. You are saying we can turn their own weapons against them? More than that, Chen replied, we can make their ships, their stations, their planetary defense systems all function according to our commands instead of theirs. They built their entire civilization on technology that we can now control. The discovery accelerated humanity's timeline dramatically. Instead of needing to destroy Confederation forces, they could simply take control of them. It would be the most complete victory in military history, achieved without firing a single shot. Sarah Kim began retrofitting the underground facilities to produce quantum control transmitters, devices that could override alien technology from vast distances. The transmitters were small enough to be hidden on human agents or embedded in seemingly innocent cargo shipments. How many control nodes do we need to dominate the entire Confederation? Torres asked. Analysis indicates that 47 transmitters, one in each major star system, would give us complete control over their infrastructure, Sarah replied. We can have them manufactured and deployed within 6 months. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. While the Confederation believed humanity was barely surviving in exile, human agents would quietly install control nodes across the galaxy. When activation occurred, every alien device would suddenly obey human commands instead of their original programming. Maya Patel coordinated the placement of human operatives in positions where they could install the quantum control nodes without detection. The devices would remain dormant until activated, appearing to be nothing more than minor equipment malfunctions to any alien technician who might encounter them. Our people are in position, Maya reported. Installation can begin immediately upon your order. Torres looked around the command center at the faces of humanity's greatest minds. They had spent 18 months in supposed exile, but they had actually used that time to develop capabilities that made them the most powerful force in galactic history. Begin deployment, Torres ordered. It is time to show the Confederation what humanity can accomplish when properly motivated. As the control nodes began their journey to installations across the galaxy, the first human ships emerged from their hidden construction facilities. They rose through concealed shafts that opened on the planet's far side, away from Confederation monitoring systems. The vessels were beautiful and terrifying, their hulls gleaming with metamaterials that bent light around them. They moved without visible propulsion, gravity itself bending to carry them between the stars faster than anything the aliens had ever imagined possible, Doctor. Chun watched the ships depart on their secret missions and felt a deep satisfaction. The Confederation had tried to stop humanity's advancement by isolating them from galactic civilization. Instead, they had given humanity the perfect laboratory to develop technology that surpassed their greatest achievements. Phase 2 is now in motion, Chin announced to the command center. In 6 months, The galaxy will learn what happens when you try to cage the human species. The irony was perfect. The aliens had feared humanity's rapid advancement, so they had exiled them to prevent further development. But exile had actually accelerated human progress beyond their worst nightmares. Free from diplomatic constraints and motivated by the desire to prove their worth, humanity had achieved in 18 months what most species required centuries to accomplish. Admiral Torres reviewed the final preparations for the operation that would change galactic history. Every detail had been planned with meticulous care, every contingency had been considered, every possible outcome had been analyzed. The Confederation wanted to eliminate the human threat, Torres said to his assembled staff. They succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. We are no longer a threat to their civilization. We are now far beyond anything they could possibly threaten. The countdown had begun. In 6 months, humanity would emerge from exile, not as refugees begging for readmission to galactic society, but as the new rulers of known space. The Confederation had made their choice when they voted for exile. The Reckoning Supreme Chancellor Thyrock received the first reports with disbelief, then growing alarm, and finally something approaching panic. Across the galaxy, Confederation monitoring stations were going silent one by one. Military outposts reported equipment failures that made no sense. Communication networks were experiencing mysterious disruptions that seemed to follow patterns no one could explain. How many stations have we lost contact with? Thyrock asked his aide, Counselor Vex High, who had been among the strongest supporters of humanity's exile. 17 primary monitoring stations, 43 secondary outposts, and 6 major fleet bases, Vex High replied, his reptilian features showing confusion. In each case, the stations simply stopped responding. No distress signals, no signs of attack, just sudden silence. Thyrock's crystalline form flickered with the patterns that indicated deep concern among his species. Send investigation teams to the closest silent stations. I want to know what is happening. The investigation teams that arrived at the dead stations found something that challenged everything they thought they knew about technology. The facilities were undamaged and fully powered, but none of the equipment responded to alien commands. Computer systems that had operated flawlessly for decades suddenly refused to acknowledge their operators. Weapons that should have fired on command remained stubbornly silent. It is as if the technology no longer recognizes us as authorized users, reported Captain Millar from the investigation team at Monitoring Station 7. Everything appears functional, but we cannot control any of it. Similar reports came in from across the Confederation. Ships found themselves unable to navigate properly as their guidance systems provided incorrect coordinates. Planetary defense networks powered down without authorization. Communication arrays began broadcasting human signals instead of alien transmissions. Admiral Corvex of the Confederation fleet tried to respond to the crisis by mobilizing his forces, but discovered that mobilization had become impossible. Ship after ship reported the same problem. Their systems were operational but no longer obeyed commands from their crews. This is impossible, Corvex declared as he stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Technology cannot simply decide to stop working. His weapons officer, a Kithera named Zix High, clicked her mandibles in frustration. Sir, the weapon systems are powered and ready, but they will not target anything we designate. It is as if they are waiting for different commands. The answer to their confusion came when Captain Elena Vasquez appeared on every communication screen in Confederation space simultaneously. She stood on what appeared to be the bridge of a human vessel, but the technology visible behind her was unlike anything in alien databases. Members of the Galactic Confederation. Elena began, her voice carrying clearly through systems that should not have been able to receive her transmission. 24 months ago, you voted to exile humanity because you feared our rapid advancement. Today, you discover the consequences of that decision. Thyrock watched from his command center as Elena's image dominated every screen in the building. Around him, alien technicians frantically tried to cut the transmission, but their equipment refused to respond to their commands. You believed that isolating us would slow our development, Elena continued. Instead, you gave us the perfect laboratory to accelerate our advancement beyond your ability to comprehend. While you thought we were struggling to survive, we were actually developing technology that makes your greatest achievements look primitive. Admiral Torres appeared beside Elena on the screen. For the past 6 months, our agents have been installing quantum control nodes throughout Confederation space. These devices now give us complete control over your technology infrastructure. The implications hit the alien leadership like a physical blow. Every ship, every station, every planetary defense system in Confederation space was now under human control. With a thought, humanity could disable their entire civilization. This is impossible, Thyrock whispered, but even as he spoke, he could see the evidence all around him. His own command center equipment was responding to human transmissions while ignoring his staff completely. Dr. Chun joined the transmission, his scientific instruments visible in the background. You feared our rapid learning ability, so you tried to cut us off from galactic knowledge. But you failed to understand that isolation actually accelerated our development. Free from diplomatic constraints, we were able to push the boundaries of science in ways that would have been impossible while maintaining peaceful relations. The camera view expanded to show the true scope of humanity's achievement. Behind the speakers, vast construction facilities stretched into the distance, filled with ships whose design principles challenged basic assumptions about physics and engineering. We have developed quantum manipulation on a scale you never imagined possible, Chin explained. We can control matter at the subatomic level, bend space-time to our will, and manipulate the fundamental forces that govern reality itself. Sarah Kim stepped into view, her engineering expertise evident in every gesture. The ships you see behind us were built using manufacturing techniques that can produce entire fleets in the time it takes your shipyards to complete a single vessel. We have constructed over 3,000 vessels in the past 18 months. 3,000 ships equipped with technology that made Confederation fleets obsolete. The numbers alone were staggering, but the technological advantage made resistance meaningless. Where are these ships now? Elena asked, as if reading the minds of her alien audience. They are currently positioned throughout Confederation space, invisible to your sensors, and ready to demonstrate our capabilities. At that moment, human vessels began appearing in every major star system in the galaxy. They simply materialized without warning, their advanced cloaking systems dropping to reveal sleek forms that seemed to bend light around their edges. Admiral Corvex watched in horror as dozens of human ships appeared around his fleet. His vessels should have been able to detect approaching enemies long before visual contact, but these ships had appeared from nowhere. All vessels open fire, Corvex ordered, but his weapons remained silent. Why are our weapons not responding? Lieutenant Maya Patel's voice came through his communication system with crystal clarity. Admiral Corvex, this is Lieutenant Patel of the Human Strategic Command. Your weapons are not malfunctioning. They are simply following our commands instead of yours. The demonstration was immediate and devastating. Across the galaxy, Confederation weapons turned toward targets designated by human controllers, not to destroy, but to prove a point. Every alien military installation found itself looking down the barrels of its own defensive systems. We could end your civilization in minutes, Elena said from her command vessel. Every weapon you have built, every ship you have launched, every defensive system you have installed is now under our direct control. But destruction was never our goal. The statement carried more weight than any threat could have. Humanity possessed the power to annihilate alien civilization, but they were choosing not to use it. The restraint was somehow more terrifying than violence would have been. What do you want? Thyrock managed to ask, his voice barely audible through the communication systems. Elena smiled, but it was not the expression of someone seeking revenge. We want what we have always wanted: partnership, not domination. But the terms have changed significantly since our exile. Admiral Torres stepped forward on the transmission. The Confederation as it existed is finished. Your technology belongs to us now. Your military forces answer to our commands, and your governments function only with our permission. But we are not interested in becoming conquerors. Dr. Chen added his voice to the discussion. Humanity has always preferred cooperation to conflict. We offered to share our discoveries with you, to work together for mutual advancement. You chose to exile us instead. Now, we are offering you a different kind of partnership. The offer was both generous and terrifying. Humanity was willing to work with alien species, but only under human leadership. The days of the Confederation making decisions about human activities were permanently over. Those species that can accept human guidance will be allowed to maintain their worlds and their cultures. Elena explained, "We will share our technology with you, help you advance beyond your current limitations, and include you in the exploration of new frontiers." Sarah Kim's image appeared more prominently on the screen. The manufacturing techniques we have developed can provide abundance for every world in the galaxy. Quantum manipulation can transform barren planets into garden worlds. Gravitational control can allow construction projects on scales you have never imagined. The benefits being offered were real and substantial. Humanity possessed technology that could revolutionize life for every species in the galaxy. But it came with the price of accepting human supremacy. And those species that cannot accept this new arrangement, Vexhai asked, though he already knew the answer, will find themselves in the same situation you attempted to impose on us, Torres replied, exile to worlds where they can live according to their own principles, but without the ability to interfere with galactic development. The irony was perfect and deliberate. The same punishment that the Confederation had tried to impose on humanity would now be applied to any species that refused to accept the new order. Maya Patel's intelligence network had spent months preparing for this moment. "We have complete files on every Confederation species," she reported. "We know your capabilities, your weaknesses, your cultural values, and your strategic resources. Resistance is not only futile, it is literally impossible given our control over your technology." Thyrock looked around his command center at the faces of creatures who had once believed they ruled the galaxy. Now they were discovering that they had never understood what real power looked like. "The Confederation Council has 24 hours to make its decision," Elena announced. "Accept human leadership and join us in building a better galaxy, or choose exile and irrelevance. But understand that there is no third option. The age of the Confederation is over. The age of humanity has begun." The transmission ended, leaving the alien leadership to contemplate their new reality. Around them, their technology continued to operate perfectly, but it no longer belonged to them. They had become guests in their own civilization. How did this happen? Thyrock asked, but he already knew the answer. They had feared humanity's rapid advancement and tried to stop it by imposing exile. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what they needed to surpass every other species in the galaxy. The irony was crushing. In trying to prevent humanity from becoming too powerful, they had created the conditions that made human dominance inevitable. Their fear had become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Vexhai looked at the empty screens where Elena's image had appeared. "What do we tell the member worlds?" "We tell them the truth," Thyrock replied. "We made a mistake 24 months ago, and now we must live with the consequences." Across the galaxy, human ships maintained their positions around every major alien installation. They were not threatening, merely present, but their presence was reminder enough of the new balance of power. The Confederation had tried to exile humanity from the stars. Instead, they had exiled themselves from relevance. The galaxy now belonged to the species they had feared most, and that species was offering them a choice: join willingly or be forced to join later. Either way, the outcome was already determined. Humanity had won not through conquest, but through the simple demonstration that they had advanced beyond anything their opponents could match. The exile was over. The reckoning had begun. and it was already too late for the Confederation to change course, even if they had wanted to try.